You are already home, your shoes are off, the room is quiet, but somewhere in the back of your mind, a conversation from earlier today is still playing. Not loudly, just on repeat. Something you said, something they said, the pause that felt too long, the way it ended. And even though it is over, for you, it is not quite over yet. You try to let it go, but the replay does not ask for permission. It simply starts again, and quietly, you begin to wonder, why does your mind hold on to things that everyone else seems to have already forgotten? Maybe you feel too much. Maybe you are too sensitive for your own good. Or maybe there is a completely different explanation, one that has nothing to do with weakness. But replaying a conversation does not always mean something is wrong with you. Often, the mind is searching for one of three things, and which one is driving yours changes everything. The first is what researchers call post-event processing. In the Clark and Wells model of social anxiety, the mind may review an interaction after it ends, searching for signs that something went wrong, like a security camera rewinding footage, looking for the moment things shifted. For some people, this may be the mind trying to make sense of an uncertain social moment, trying to protect you from a similar outcome next time. The problem is that it does not always know when to stop. It keeps reviewing, long after it has found everything it is going to find. The second is something called counterfactual thinking. Psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky studied how the human mind generates alternatives to what actually happened. If I had said it differently, if I had waited one more second before speaking. This kind of thinking is not irrational. It is actually part of how people learn and adapt. The mind is not torturing you. It is running simulations, looking for a version of events where things went better. The pain comes not from the thinking itself, but from the fact that the better version no longer exists as an option. You cannot go back, and the mind struggles with that. The third reason is the one most people never consider. Sometimes the replay is not about what went wrong at all. Sometimes the mind returns to a conversation because something in it felt unfinished, not in what was said, but in what was felt. A moment of connection that was not fully acknowledged. Something true that almost got said, but didn't. The conversation ended, but the meaning inside it did not. And the mind, without knowing how else to hold it, keeps returning, as if going back one more time might finally close it. This is where researchers draw an important distinction. They call it reflection versus rumination. Reflection is when the mind returns to something with curiosity, trying to understand, trying to learn. It moves. Rumination is when the mind returns to something and gets stuck, not to understand, but to re-experience the same moment, to search for certainty in a place that cannot give it. Both feel the same from the inside, but they are not. One is the mind processing, the other is the mind circling. Not everyone who replays conversations does it for the same reason. For some, it comes from fear. Fear of how they were perceived, fear of having said the wrong thing. For others, it comes from something quieter, a need for meaning, a feeling that something important was left unfinished. And sometimes, the replay is an honest attempt to learn from what happened. The shape may look the same from the outside, but what is underneath can be very different. So here's a question worth sitting with. When your mind returns to that conversation tonight, is it moving? Is it working something out, finding something, processing toward an answer? Or is it circling, returning to the same moment, looking for a certainty that was never going to be there? You do not have to answer out loud, but notice which one it feels like. That answer tells you more about what you need than the conversation ever could. So if your mind replays, it is not punishing you without reason. It may be trying to find solid ground in something that still feels unresolved. Reflection can move toward an answer. Rumination can keep circling after there is nothing new to find. And now that you know the difference, you can notice which one is happening. Not to judge it, just to understand it. You were not too sensitive. You were not broken. You were simply someone for whom that moment meant something. And that is not a flaw. That is the most human thing there is. If this felt familiar, leave one word in the comments. Just one word for the feeling that conversation left behind. And if you want to understand more about the way your mind works, the next video might explain something about you that you have never quite had the words for.